Good day and welcome back to Iran Daily Newsfeed. The angry farmers of Esfahan province have staged a protest to march on water shortages on Friday. Drought and mismanagement of water resources have sparked deadly protests in Iran in the past years. In an interview, an official told state-run ISNA news agency, in July, water shortages has led to crisis worse than COVID-19, and rivers across the country, including Khuzestan, have dried up, leaving tanker supplies as the only option in many villages and towns. The rial has shed its value by 137% within a year, eating into the incomes of Iranians along with double-digit inflation. Reports indicate the Iranian rial continues to plunge into its all-time low. The rial is traded at about 28,000 to the dollar and more than 32,000 to the euro. Iran's national bodybuilding and fitness team has been prevented from being present at the Asian Championship for alleged unstable security situation in Lebanon. Recently, media outlets have reported 2 Iranian bodybuilders have sought asylum, probably in Spain. Amir Gholamzadegan and Alireza Piri, who competed in fitness sport and fitness challenge at the World Championship Spain, are allegedly reluctant to return to Iran, state-run media said. The 2 athletes are now seeking asylum in Spain. Meanwhile, all Iranian athletes are under tight security supervision during the competition overseas. In 2019, Iranian judoka gold medalist Saeed Molai also disappeared during the Judo World Championship in Tokyo to resurface in Germany. In the recent years, the number of Iranian athletes who have sought asylum has increased at an unprecedented rate. Apologist expert Barbara Slavin said none of U.S. administrations can meet the demands of Ayatollahs in Iran. The so-called foreign policy expert considers a 50-50 chance of success in the negotiations to revive the Iran nuclear deal. She emphasized that Tehran's demands are unrealistic and no government in the United States can offer them to mullahs. In an interview with state-run ILNA news agency, she said she's not very optimistic about the nuclear talks that will soon begin in Vienna between Tehran and the world leaders. She also said the Islamic Republic cannot expect the sanctions lifted without being willing to compromise on its maximum goals. The analyses were uttered by someone who is known among Iranian dissidents as apologist. Joe Biden said in a memo to the U.S. State Department on Friday that there were sufficient supplies of petroleum so other countries can reduce what they buy from the Islamic Republic. According to Reuters, the White House is required to affirm every 6 months that there is enough oil supply globally to maintain sanctions against Tehran that were put in place in 2012 during Barack Obama's administration. OPEC on Thursday cut its world oil demand forecast for the last quarter of 2021 as high energy prices curbed the recovery from COVID-19, delaying the timeline for a return to pre-pandemic levels of oil use until later in 2022. According to Reuters, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries in a monthly report also raised its supply forecast from U.S. shale producers next year, a potential headwind to the efforts of the group and its allies known as OPEC Plus to balance the market. OPEC said it expects oil demand to average 99.49 million barrels per day in the fourth quarter of 2021, down to 330,000 barrels per day from last month's forecast. The year's demand growth forecast was trimmed by 160,000 barrels per day to 5.65 million barrels per day. The United States and Qatar signed an accord on Friday for Qatar to represent U.S. diplomatic interests in Afghanistan, an important signal of possible future direct engagement between Washington and the Taliban after 2 decades of war. According to Reuters, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and his Qatari counterpart Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani signed the agreement making Qatar the U.S. protecting power in Afghanistan at a State Department ceremony after holding talks Blinken said Qatar will establish a U.S. internet section within its embassy in Afghanistan to provide certain consular services and monitor the condition and security of U.S. diplomatic facilities in Afghanistan. And that was all for now. I'm Kate, and thank you for the privilege of your time.